Nothing kicks off a romance like two people who never agree to any of that in the first place. So here are the top 10 romance anime where the main character is forced to marry. Let's go. Why not kick things off with the one stating the obvious? High schooler Saito Hojo gets married to his classmate Akane Sakuramori, the girl he hates most in the entire school. Yep, that's the whole premise, right there in the title. Neither one wants the rest of the class finding out, so they keep their newlywed life a secret while bickering non-stop the second they get home.
ちょっとでも変なことしたら怒るから。
分かってる。
本当にダメだからね。
Like I said, the title explains pretty much what you can expect. Watching two people who hate each other slowly fall for each other through the good old small moments is the whole appeal of the tsundere married couple genre. The problem is, someone decided a story about newlyweds needing a full harem, and now half the female cast is trying to seduce a married man, cousin, and little sister-in-law included. But hey, at least you get a married couple.
花嫁殿には身の程を知っていただこうか。花嫁に地獄の折檻コースを。
College student Aoi Tsubaki can see Ayakashi spirits, and that gift gets her kidnapped straight into the spirit world one day. Turns out her late grandfather racked up a massive debt with an ogre god named Udana, and Aoi's options are pay it back, marry the guy, or get eaten. Naturally, she picks none of the above and decides to work off the debt herself by cooking for an inn full of hungry, skeptical spirits.
天神屋に戻ったら作るわ。食べてくれるわよね。
隔離をへ。
I know, marriage is kind of a background thing here, but Aoi is someone who is forced to get married to an ogre who doesn't look like Shrek, so this one counts. Besides, this one's basically Kami-sama Kiss meets a cooking show, and depending on who you ask, that's either cozy or a little bit of a bait and switch. And when the romance doesn't kick in, you've got some good old cooking, some actual cooking.
大胆贼人，夜出王爷府还满口胡言，还不束手就擒！
This one's technically a Chinese donghua, not a Japanese anime, but it earns its spot. Kehan Youngji gets sent off to marry a prince in her younger sister's place after her sister begs not to be the one shipped away. Except the joke's on her, because Youngji actually wanted out of her own house anyway. Her new husband, Prince Ye, is cold, calculating, and immediately convinced she's a spy. Oh, and she's also got psychic powers that let her talk to ghosts, fairies, and basically every animal in the palace.
世上就有如此俊美之人。公子也想玩。
Do you love a husband who teases his wife until she's red in the face? Do you love court intrigue with actual stakes? Most of all, do you want a female lead who's fun to watch instead of just standing around looking pretty? Then Psychic Princess has got you covered. Fans call it one of the funnier Married to a Stranger stories out there, and I know it's a Chinese anime, but it's still pretty great. Sometimes it even gets me the Apothecary Diary vibe.
あれから
もう2年か。
College student Kaoru Hanabishi left his rich family behind years ago. So dude's surprised when a beautiful girl in a kimono shows up at the train station looking for him. Turns out it's Aoi Sakuraba, his childhood fiance, and she's crossed half of Japan just to marry the guy she's loved since they were kids. The families cut ties years ago, but Aoi never once gave up on him, and now that she's found him, she isn't going anywhere.
どんな小さな家でもカオル様と一緒にいられるなら葵は幸せです。
葵ちゃん。
The first 4 episodes here are genuinely some of the best slow burn romance you'll find in early 2000s anime. Aoi loving Kaoru this hard, this purely, after all these years, just hits different. Like always, I know the harem floodgates open after a while and you get several girls living in, but the story is still pretty nice. It's basically Love Hina with a fiancé twist. One good thing here is, even though this is a harem, Aoi and Kaoru is still the main focus.
ねえ、私の彼氏になりなさいよ。
はあ？
光栄でしょ？
time to get married if you are switched at birth. Nagi Umino finds out he was switched at birth and his actual biological family wants him to marry their daughter, Erica, so nobody has to give up the kid they raised. Erica, meanwhile, is an internet-focused influencer who doesn't want to get married and instead be a social media influencer. So the two of them move in together, fake a relationship to dodge their family's expectations, but as you can guess, feelings get complicated.
必死かよ。
当たり前だ。
じゃあ協力して。
This one's a pretty straightforward harem, and a lot of people who watched it will tell you it doesn't do much new with the premise, especially with side girls who feel tossed in without much reason. But Nagi and Erica actually have real chemistry. The animation's clean, and the family angle gives it more heart than your average arranged marriage harem. So this is more of a 8 out of 10 in my book.
おはよう長住さん。どうじゃろうか。新しい制服。長住さん。
Do you want Yakuzas? Do you want the mermaid Yakuzas? Do you want mermaid Yakuzas with arranged marriage? Yep, I got one for you. Meet Nagasumi. Dude almost drowns on a family beach trip, and the mermaid who saves him turns out to be Sun Seto, daughter of a mermaid Yakuza boss. Mermaid law says if a human sees one of them, someone has to die unless the human marries in instead. I don't know what the guy who wrote this rule was smoking, but Nagasumi basically becomes a husband on the spot.
人魚と書いて人魚と読むき。
さんちゃん。
私は長住さんのお嫁さんじゃき。
This is the first time in the genre where the father-in-law of the game carries the show more than the main couple. I mean, the main couple isn't bad, but Seto's dad always steals the scene. The premise is exactly as ridiculous as it sounds, and that's the whole charm. It's slapstick, it's a parody machine, and the mermaid mafia angle is just unhinged enough to work. Overall, it's a nice, quick romance anime.
どうぞ。
いや、さすがにそれは。ユズの手に口をつけるなんて。
美味しいですよ。
Sometimes your waifu just lands straight up on your doorstep. Set in 1920s Japan, Tamahiko Shima loses the use of his hand in an accident and gets exiled to the countryside by his own family for being useless afterward. Then his father buys him a bride to make it official, a cheerful girl named Yuzuki, whose family sold her off just to cover their debts. Tamahiko's depressed and bitter about pretty much everything. Yuzuki's optimistic despite everything that's happened to her, and somehow her relentless kindness starts cracking through his walls anyway.
そばにいていろいろな玉彦様を見たい。好きになりたい。
This is a love story in the truest sense. Wholesome and genuinely touching once it gets going. Some viewers find Yuzuki a little too perfect, like she doesn't have a single flaw in her name, and side characters come and go without doing much, but the core relationship is handled with real care. And watching two broken people slowly choose each other is exactly the payoff the whole marriage thing promises, and this does it really well.
お嫁に行けない。どう責任取ってくれるのよ。
責任取って結婚するとか。
バカなこと言わないで。
ごめんなさい。
In the near future Japan, the government assigns everyone a spouse at 16 to fix the country's birth rate problem because they already have enough people watching anime at home without girlfriends. Anyways, Yukari Najima finally confesses to his crush Misaki right before his assignment notice comes in. And of course, it's not her. His actual match is a sheltered girl named Ririna who's never experienced love before. And it's honestly more fascinated by Yukari's whole situation than upset about it.
分かったらちゃんと言ってね。相手に会いに。それじゃ。
Okay, let's be real. The sci-fi government marriage concept here is genuinely clever, and it gives the whole love triangle way more weight than your average high school romance gets. Ririna, for me, is the best girl of the show, and she alone is worth the watch. She's one of the more interesting arranged love interests in anime, sweet and curious about love in a way that makes her impossible not to root for.
この日、このお方と出会ったことで、まるで雪の中で芽吹いた花のように。
Mio Saimori grew up treated like a servant by her own stepfamily, and she had one of the worst lives imaginable. When her father finally marries her off, it's to Kiyoka Kudo, a military commander with a really bad rep. Every previous girlfriend of the guy has left, and he is said to be a demon. Mio, basically having nowhere else to go, thinks, well, can't get any worse. Turns out it cannot. Kiyoka is a nice guy.
なぜここで泣くんだ。
It's a Cinderella story dressed up with supernatural politics, and Mio Kyoka relationship is one of the most emotionally satisfying arranged marriages I've seen in recent anime. And honestly, this has everything you need in a traditional romance anime. Kyoka's slow shift from the whole feared commander to genuinely caring husband is so well done, and the animation from Kinema Citrus is gorgeous on top of all that.
早乙女乱馬です。すいません。
はあ
And number one spot goes to the king of forced marriage anime itself, Ranma Saotome. Ranma's trained his whole life in martial arts under his dad until one cursed dip in a magic spring leaves him turning into a girl every time he touches cold water. Then his father arranges him to marry Akane Tendo, the most tomboyish of three sisters and someone who very famously hates men. Neither of them wants this, obviously, but their dad forces it anyway.
しつけて桶の底に沈めてやる
I love the original. I love the manga, and this is a flat-out incredible remake. And you know, I don't say that about a lot of reboot Netflix throws at us. Mappa cleaned up the animation, kept basically the entire original Japanese cast, including the legendary Megumi Hayashibara, and somehow made the comedy land even better than the 80s original did. And there isn't even any filler. This is one of the best anime remakes ever made, and one of my absolute favorites. So give this a go.